warning ignored the grand chamber of the Crithian imperial warship, stretched higher than any cathedral on Earth. Crystal pillars rose from floor to ceiling, each one pulsing with soft blue light. Emperor Draxus sat upon his throne of living metal, a structure that shifted and reformed according to his mood. Around him stood the greatest military minds of the Crithian Empire, generals and admirals who had conquered 47 star systems without a single defeat. Master Corvin stepped forward, his forearms gesturing at the holographic display that floated in the center of the chamber. The image showed a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star. "My Emperor, I present to you our next conquest. The locals call it Earth. Population, 8 billion. Technology level, primitive. They still burn fossil fuels for energy. Their fastest ships cannot even reach their own outer planets in reasonable time." The assembled officers laughed. It was a sound like grinding rocks, the Crithian equivalent of amusement. Emperor Draxus leaned forward, his 6 eyes studying the planet with interest. 8 billion workers. That will replenish our labor forces nicely. How long will the conquest take? Corvin's chest swelled with pride. 3 days, my Emperor. Perhaps 4, if they attempt resistance. Their weapons are chemical-based projectiles. Our shields will render them useless. I estimate fewer than 100 casualties on our side, most from equipment failures rather than combat. Excellent, Draxus said, his voice resonating through the chamber. We depart in 2 cycles. Prepare the invasion fleet. The door to the chamber suddenly opened. Every head turned as a figure entered without announcement or permission. She was tall and slender, with silver skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. Ambassador Zilara of the Observer Coalition walked with purpose, her expression grave. 2 Crithian guards rushed to stop her, but Draxus raised one hand. Let her speak, the Emperor said, though his tone suggested annoyance. The Observer Coalition has no authority here. But I am curious why you interrupt our war council. Zilara stopped at the edge of the holographic display, her eyes fixed on the image of Earth. I come with a warning, Emperor Draxus. Do not attack this world. Do not make the mistake of underestimating the humans. The chamber erupted in laughter once more. War Master Corvin's 4 arms crossed over his chest. Ambassador, your concern is noted, but unnecessary. We have studied this species. They are divided into hundreds of squabbling nations. They fight among themselves constantly. Their technology is centuries behind ours. What possible threat could they pose? Zilara turned to face him, her expression unchanged. The Observer Coalition has monitored humanity for 5,000 of their years. We have watched them evolve, fight, survive, and grow. I have spent 300 years studying their history personally. I am here to tell you that attacking Earth is a mistake that will cost you everything. Emperor Draxus leaned back in his throne, which rippled and reformed beneath him. You have my attention, Ambassador. Explain why we should fear primitives who still use wheels for transportation. Zilara activated her own data crystal, and new images appeared beside the hologram of Earth. They showed scenes of human history, armies clashing, cities burning, weapons of terrible power being unleashed. Humans are survivors. They evolved on a planet that tried to kill them at every turn. Predators, diseases, natural disasters, climate extremes. Any other species would have died out or remained primitive. Humans thrived. They adapted. They conquered their own world through sheer determination. This proves nothing, Corvin interrupted. Many species overcome harsh environments. Let me finish, Zilara said coldly. Humans have fought wars for their entire recorded history. Not small skirmishes, but conflicts that consumed entire continents and lasted for years. They invented weapons capable of destroying their own planet multiple times over, and made more of them. When faced with extinction, They do not surrender. They fight harder. General Faxus, commander of the Imperial Fleet's 3rd Division, stepped forward. His scales glittered in the light as he spoke. Ambassador, with respect, we have fought many wars ourselves. The Crithian Empire did not grow to control 47 systems by being weak. We know combat. Zalara shook her head. You know conquest. You know how to overwhelm inferior forces with superior technology. You have never faced an enemy that refuses to acknowledge defeat. The last species in this galaxy that fought like humans were the Vorax, and they destroyed themselves 3 million years ago. Since then, warfare has become civilized, calculated. Species surrender when the mathematics of survival favor it. And humans do not? Draxus asked, genuine curiosity in his voice now. Humans do not care about the mathematics, Zalara replied. There is a word in their languages, spite. It means to continue fighting, even when you know you will lose, simply to hurt your enemy. Humans invented nuclear weapons and immediately used them on each other. They created diseases that could wipe out their species and weaponized them. They have a saying, if I am going down, I am taking you with me. Do you understand what I am telling you, Emperor? Humans would rather die fighting than live in chains. War Master Corvin laughed again, though it sounded forced. Dramatic words, Ambassador. But words do not win wars. Technology does. Training does. Numbers do. We have all 3 advantages. Zadara pulled up another image. It showed a small wooden ship on an ancient ocean, filled with warriors. This is from 1,000 years ago in human time. These warriors were called Vikings. They would sail across dangerous seas in boats that should have sunk, attack settlements far larger than their numbers, and fight with such ferocity that their enemies would flee at the sight of their ships. They were not the strongest species. They were not the fastest. But they were the most relentless. She changed the image to show soldiers in trenches, covered in mud and surrounded by devastation. This is from 200 years ago. A war they called World War I. Millions died. Entire generations of young men were destroyed. The conditions were horrific beyond imagination. And yet, they kept fighting for 4 years. Not because they were winning, because they refused to stop. Another image appeared, showing a mushroom cloud rising over a city. This is from 150 years ago. They dropped atomic weapons on their own species. 2 cities destroyed in seconds. Hundreds of thousands dead. And do you know what happened? The war ended, yes, but humans did not stop making these weapons. They made thousands more. Bigger ones. More efficient ones. They pointed them at each other for decades, fully aware that using them would end their civilization. That is who humans are. They build weapons capable of destroying themselves and sleep next to the button that would launch them. Emperor Draxus stood from his throne. His massive form towered over everyone in the chamber. Ambassador Zalara, I appreciate your concern. Truly, I do. But the Crithian Empire has faced fierce warriors before. We have fought species that seemed unbeatable. We have always won. Because they were rational, Zalara said quietly. Because when defeat was certain, they surrendered to preserve what remained. Humans are not rational when cornered. They are dangerous. There is a creature on Earth called a honey badger. It is small, weighing perhaps 12 kilograms. But it will fight lions, hyenas, even elephants. It does not care that it should lose. It fights anyway. Humans are the galaxy's honey badgers. Except they have nuclear weapons and generations of experience in killing each other efficiently. General Faxus stepped closer to the hologram of Earth. If they are so dangerous, why have they not spread beyond their own planet? Why do they remain confined to one world? Because they nearly destroyed themselves several times. Zalara answered. They came within minutes of launching a full nuclear war multiple times. They created environmental disasters that threatened their ecosystem. They fought wars that killed millions. But each time, they pulled back from the edge. They survived. And now they are beginning to look outward. In another few centuries, they will reach the stars on their own. When they do, the galaxy will face a species that has mastered the art of survival through any means necessary. War Master Corvin turned to Emperor Draxus. My Emperor, we waste time listening to these warnings. The Observer Coalition has always been overcautious. They see threats in shadows. Yes, humans are aggressive by nature. Yes, they have a violent history. But so did the Crithians once. We evolved beyond that primitive stage. We became civilized, rational, efficient. Humans will learn the same lesson when they face the might of our empire. Draxus nodded slowly. Ambassador Zalara, your warning is noted in the official record. However, the Crithian Empire needs workers. Earth has billions. We cannot pass up this opportunity because of ancient history and philosophical debates about human nature. If they resist, we will crush that resistance. If they refuse to surrender, we will make examples until they learn compliance. This is how the galaxy works. Zalara looked around the chamber at the assembled military leaders. She saw confidence in every face, certainty in every posture. They believed in their superiority completely. She had seen this before, in other species, in other times. It never ended well. Then I have one final warning, she said, her voice carrying through the silent chamber. When you attack Earth, you will win the first battle. Your technology is superior. Your ships are faster and stronger. You will destroy their primitive defenses easily. You will think you have won. But that will be when the real war begins. Because humans do not fight to win battles. They fight to win wars. And they are very, very good at it. Emperor Draxus waved his hand dismissively. Your warning is recorded, Ambassador. You may leave. We have preparations to make. Zalara bowed slightly, a gesture of respect that was not returned. She walked to the chamber doors, which opened before her. Just before stepping through, she turned back one final time. I will return in 6 months to help negotiate peace terms. I hope there is still an empire left to negotiate with. The doors closed behind her. For a moment, silence filled the chamber. Then War Master Corvin spoke, and his voice was filled with confidence. My Emperor, shall I begin preparations for the invasion? Draxus returned to his throne, which reformed beneath him into a more comfortable shape. Yes, assemble the fleet. 300 ships should be more than enough. We depart in 2 cycles. Earth will become the 48th jewel in our empire's crown. The military leaders saluted and began filing out of the chamber, already discussing logistics and strategy. None of them gave another thought to Ambassador Zalara's warnings. They had conquered 47 worlds. Earth would be no different. They were very wrong. Far below the Crithian warship, on the surface of Earth, astronomers at the Mauna Kea Observatory in Hawaii noticed something unusual in their deep space scans. Director Sarah Chun stared at the data on her screen, her coffee growing cold in her hand. The readings showed multiple large objects moving through space at impossible speeds, heading directly toward the solar system. Run it again, she told her assistant. Check for equipment malfunction. 10 minutes later, the results were the same. Sarah picked up her phone and dialed a number that connected her to a secure government facility in Washington. When someone answered, she took a deep breath before speaking. This is Director Chun at Mauna Kea. I need to speak with someone immediately. We have a situation. Multiple large objects, possibly ships, are heading toward Earth. ETA is approximately 2 months. Sir, I think we are about to have visitors, and I do not think they are coming to say hello. Within hours, every major government on Earth received the same message. Within days, emergency sessions were called at the United Nations. Within weeks, humanity began preparing for something that should have been impossible: first contact with an alien species. And not friendly first contact, but potentially hostile. The world watched the skies and waited. Old weapons were brought out of storage. New weapons were rushed into production. Scientists worked around the clock to understand the alien technology they could detect. Military forces prepared for an enemy they had never imagined fighting. And somewhere in the back rooms of the Pentagon, an old general looked at the invasion projections and smiled grimly. They are coming here thinking we will be easy prey. They looked at our divided nations, our primitive technology, our violent history, and they thought we would fold. Poor bastards have no idea what they are walking into. We have been perfecting the art of warfare for 10,000 years. Let us show them what humans do when someone threatens our home. The Crithian fleet entered the solar system exactly on schedule. 300 massive warships emerged from faster-than-light travel near Jupiter's orbit. They were beautiful and terrible, each one larger than Earth's biggest aircraft carriers, covered in weapons and shields that could withstand nearly anything humanity might throw at them. Emperor Draxus stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the blue planet in the distance. It seemed so small, so fragile, so utterly defenseless. He opened a communication channel that would broadcast to every radio, television, and internet connection on Earth. People of Earth, I am Emperor Draxus of the Crithian Empire. Your world is now under our control. You have 48 hours to surrender unconditionally. Dismantle your militaries. Prepare to serve the Empire. Resistance will be met with overwhelming force. Compliance will be rewarded with survival. Choose wisely. This is your only warning. The transmission ended. Draxus turned to War Master Corvin. How long until they respond? Typically, primitives respond within hours, my Emperor. They will attempt to negotiate, to buy time, to beg for mercy. It is always the same pattern. 20 minutes later, a response came. It was a simple audio transmission, just a voice speaking in clear English, with a translator matrix converting it to Crithian. The voice belonged to Secretary General Martinez of the United Nations. Emperor Draxus, we have received your message. Earth's response is as follows. No, we will not surrender. We will not serve. We will not bow. If you want our world, you will have to take it from our cold, dead hands. And I promise you, we will make you pay for every inch in blood. Come and try. We will be waiting. The transmission ended. On the bridge of the Crithian flagship, stunned silence filled the air. War Master Corvin's 4 arms hung limp at his sides. General Thaxus blinked all 6 eyes in disbelief. Emperor Draxus stared at the communication console as if it had insulted his ancestors. They refused? Corvin said slowly. They actually refused? Draxus's hands clenched into fists. His throne rippled beneath him, reflecting his anger. Then we will teach them the price of defiance. Prepare the fleet for attack. Destroy their orbital satellites. Target their military installations. Show them what happens when primitives challenge the Empire. As the Crithian fleet moved toward Earth, War Master Corvin felt something he had not experienced in decades of warfare: doubt. Ambassador Zalara's words echoed in his mind, but he pushed the feeling aside. They had 300 warships. The humans had nothing that could threaten them. This would be over quickly. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and the Crithian Empire was about to learn why Ambassador Zalara had tried so hard to warn them. The truth revealed. The Crithian fleet moved into attack formation, Above Earth's atmosphere, War Master Corvin stood beside Emperor Draxus on the bridge, watching tactical displays as their ships positioned themselves over major population centers. London, New York, Beijing, Moscow, Tokyo. Each city would receive a demonstration of Crithian power. Each city would learn the cost of resistance. Begin the assault, Draxus commanded. Target their military bases first. Show them their defenses are meaningless. Energy weapons charged across the fleet. Targeting systems locked onto radar installations, missile silos, Air Force bases, naval yards. The first wave of fire would cripple Earth's ability to fight back. The second wave would destroy their communication networks. The third wave would hit population centers as a final warning. It was a strategy the Crithians had perfected across 47 worlds. The energy beams lanced down through the atmosphere. Brilliant streams of concentrated power that should have vaporized everything they touched. But something unexpected happened. The beams struck invisible barriers and dispersed harmlessly. Every single shot scattered against shields that should not have existed. On the bridge, alarm signals began wailing. General Thaxus stared at his console in confusion. Impossible. They have shield technology. How do they have shield technology? Before anyone could answer, Earth struck back. Thousands of missiles launched simultaneously from hidden silos across every continent. They were not the primitive chemical rockets Crithian intelligence had reported. These missiles moved faster, maneuvered sharper, and carried warheads that sensor arrays could not identify. The Crithian point defense systems opened fire, destroying missiles by the hundreds. But there were too many, and they kept coming. The first missile that got through struck a destroyer on the fleet's outer edge. The explosion was nuclear, but enhanced somehow. The electromagnetic pulse was 10 times stronger than predicted. The destroyer's shields held, but every electronic system on the ship shut down instantly. More missiles got through. More ships went dark. Within 5 minutes, 20 Crithian vessels were drifting dead in space, their crews alive, but their ships completely disabled. War Master Corvin watched in horror as humanity's opening strike achieved what should have been impossible. They were hurting the fleet. Withdraw to higher orbit, he ordered quickly. Recalculate shield frequencies. Analyze those weapons. How are primitives doing this? On Earth, in a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Marcus Webb watched the battle unfold on multiple screens. His command center hummed with activity as thousands of personnel coordinated humanity's desperate defense. Beside him stood Dr. Kenji Tanaka, the physicist who had made this moment possible. The EMP warheads are working better than predicted, Kenji said, his fingers dancing across his tablet. Their shields block kinetic and energy weapons, but they cannot adapt fast enough to electromagnetic pulses. We hit them with frequencies that overload their systems. The truth revealed the Crithian fleet moved into attack formation above Earth's atmosphere. War Master Corvin stood beside Emperor Draxus on the bridge, watching tactical displays as their ships positioned themselves over major population centers. London, New York, Beijing, Moscow, Tokyo. Each city would receive a demonstration of Crithian power. Each city would learn the cost of resistance. Begin the assault, Draxus commanded. Target their military bases first. Show them their defenses are meaningless. Energy weapons charged across the fleet. Targeting systems locked onto radar installations, missile silos, Air Force bases, naval yards. The first wave of fire would cripple Earth's ability to fight back. The second wave would destroy their communication networks. The third wave would hit population centers as a final warning. It was a strategy the Crithians had perfected across 47 worlds. The energy beams lanced down through the atmosphere. Brilliant streams of concentrated power that should have vaporized everything they touched. But something unexpected happened. The beams struck invisible barriers and dispersed harmlessly. Every single shot scattered against shields that should not have existed. On the bridge, alarm signals began wailing. General Faxus stared at his console in confusion. Impossible. They have shield technology. How do they have shield technology? Before anyone could answer, Earth struck back. Thousands of missiles launched simultaneously from hidden silos across every continent. They were not the primitive chemical rockets Crithian intelligence had reported. These missiles moved faster, maneuvered sharper, and carried warheads that sensor arrays could not identify. The Crithian point defense systems opened fire, destroying missiles by the hundreds. But there were too many, and they kept coming. The first missile that got through struck a destroyer on the fleet's outer edge. The explosion was nuclear, but enhanced somehow. The electromagnetic pulse was 10 times stronger than predicted. The destroyer's shields held, but every electronic system on the ship shut down instantly. More missiles got through. More ships went dark. Within 5 minutes, 20 Crithian vessels were drifting dead in space, their crews alive, but their ships completely disabled. War Master Corvin watched in horror as humanity's opening strike achieved what should have been impossible. They were hurting the fleet. Withdraw to higher orbit, he ordered quickly. Recalculate shield frequencies. Analyze those weapons. How are primitives doing this? On Earth, in a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Marcus Webb watched the battle unfold on multiple screens. His command center hummed with activity as thousands of personnel coordinated humanity's desperate defense. Beside him stood Dr. Kenji Tanaka, the physicist who had made this moment possible. The EMP warheads are working better than predicted, Kenji said, his fingers dancing across his tablet. Their shields block kinetic and energy weapons, but they cannot adapt fast enough to electromagnetic pulses. We hit them with frequencies that overload their systems. Marcus nodded grimly. We bought ourselves some time, but they will adapt. What else do we have? Everything, Kenji replied. Every weapon we have ever invented, General. Every dirty trick we have learned in 10,000 years of killing each other. The aliens have better technology, but we have something they do not: experience. Above the planet, Emperor Draxus recovered from his shock, and his anger returned tenfold. Destroy those launch sites. All of them. I want every military installation on that planet reduced to ash. Show them what happens when primitives bloody the Empire's nose. The Crithian fleet adjusted and attacked again. This time, they targeted the missile silos directly, pouring massive firepower onto specific locations. The shields over human bases flickered and failed under sustained bombardment. Explosions bloomed across the surface as bases were destroyed. Thousands of soldiers died in seconds, but humanity had prepared for this. The bases were decoys, reinforced structures designed to absorb punishment while appearing valuable. The real launch sites were mobile platforms hidden in forests, deserts, underwater, and in urban areas disguised as civilian buildings. As the Crithians destroyed empty bases, the real weapons remained untouched. Captain Elena Volkov sat in the cockpit of her experimental fighter jet, waiting in an underground hangar in Siberia. Around her, 50 more pilots waited in identical craft. These were not ordinary jets. They were hybrid vehicles built in desperate secrecy over the past 2 months. Combining human engineering with principles, reverse engineered from crashed alien probes that had been studying Earth for years. Asterisk, Ghost Squadron. You are cleared for launch. The voice came through her headset. Show them what humans can do. Elena smiled coldly and pushed her throttle forward. The hangar doors opened, and her fighter shot into the sky, accelerating faster than any aircraft in history. Her squadron followed, 50 streaks of deadly metal rising to meet the alien fleet. The Crithian sensors detected the approaching craft. and dismissed them as irrelevant. Small atmospheric fighters could not threaten starships. Their shields would bounce the primitives away like insects. But Elena's fighter carried no conventional weapons. Instead, it carried a single experimental device that Dr. Tanaka's team had designed based on one simple principle. Shields had to let matter through in both directions, or the ships inside would suffocate. Elena's fighter screamed toward the nearest Krithian cruiser at maximum speed. At the last possible second, she activated the device and ejected from her cockpit. Her fighter passed through the shield like it was not there, the device disrupting the barrier for a split second. The fighter, packed with 5 tons of conventional explosives, struck the cruiser's hull and detonated. The explosion tore through the unshielded metal, ripping a massive hole in the ship's side. Atmosphere vented into space. Internal compartments collapsed. The cruiser listed sideways, crippled but not destroyed. 49 more fighters did the same thing to 49 more ships on the Krithian flagship. War Master Corvin watched his fleet take damage from an enemy that should have been helpless. His forearms trembled with rage and something else he did not want to acknowledge: fear. This is not possible. They are primitives. How are they adapting so fast? Ambassador Zalara's words echoed in his mind again. Humans do not fight to win battles. They fight to win wars. Emperor Draxus slammed his fist against his throne. Enough. Activate the atmospheric processors. If they will not surrender, we will make their planet uninhabitable. Let them watch their world die. 3 massive ships moved into position above Earth's equator. They began releasing a chemical compound designed to alter atmospheric composition. Within weeks, the air would become toxic to human life. It was the Empire's ultimate weapon, used only when a species proved too troublesome to conquer conventionally. Better to kill them all and repopulate with a more obedient species. But humanity had one more trick. Deep beneath the ocean, in a trench 7 miles down, Submarine Commander James Park received new orders. His vessel, the USS Defiance, was not like other submarines. It had been modified with an experimental nuclear reactor that could generate power on a scale never before achieved. That power fed into a single massive railgun that ran the length of the submarine. Load the projectile, James ordered calmly. Target the atmospheric processor ship. One-shot people. Make it count. The railgun charged, drawing power from the reactor until the submarine itself shook from the energy buildup. The projectile was a solid tungsten rod, 30 feet long and weighing 15 tons. When fired, it would travel at a significant fraction of the speed of light. Fire. The railgun discharged with a sound like thunder underwater. The projectile shot upward, passing through the ocean, through the atmosphere, and into space in seconds. It struck the atmospheric processor ship before Krithian sensors could even detect it. The kinetic energy was devastating. The ship did not explode. It simply ceased to exist, transformed into an expanding cloud of debris and vapor. 2 more submarines fired. 2 more processor ships died. The threat to Earth's atmosphere ended before it truly began. Emperor Draxus stood frozen on his bridge, staring at the tactical display. In less than 2 hours, humanity had destroyed or disabled 70 ships. 70 ships from a fleet that had never lost a single vessel in conventional combat. His empire's pride was being shattered by primitives, using weapons that should not have worked. "My emperor," General Faxus said quietly, "I recommend we withdraw, regroup, study their tactics. Return with a larger force. Withdraw?" Draxus turned on him with fury. "The Krithian Empire does not withdraw. We do not run from primitives. We will crush them, even if we must destroy every ship to do it." But War Master Corvin saw something the Emperor did not. He saw the pattern. Every time the fleet adapted to one human tactic, the humans switched to another. They were not fighting with superior technology. They were fighting with creativity, unpredictability, and a willingness to sacrifice anything to win. They were fighting the way the Empire had forgotten how to fight. Asterisk. In the command bunker, General Webb received reports from around the world. Casualties were catastrophic. Entire cities had been damaged. Millions had died. But the fleet was hurting. The invaders were bleeding. Against all odds, humanity was holding. "Sir," a communications officer called out, "we are receiving a transmission from the alien flagship. They want to negotiate." Webb and Tanaka exchanged glances. "Put it through," Webb said. Emperor Draxus appeared on the main screen. He looked different now, less arrogant, more uncertain. When he spoke, his voice carried none of its earlier confidence. "General Webb, I am Emperor Draxus. I wish to discuss terms." "Terms?" Webb said coldly. "You came to our world with 300 warships. You demanded our surrender. You tried to poison our atmosphere. And now you want to discuss terms?" "You have fought better than expected," Draxus admitted, the words clearly painful. "But you cannot win. We still have over 200 ships. You are running out of weapons, out of fighters, out of time. Surrender now, and we will spare your civilians. Continue fighting, and everyone dies." Webb leaned forward, his eyes hard. "Let me tell you something about humans, Emperor. We are very good at math. We know we probably cannot win. We know most of us will die. We know our world will be damaged beyond recognition. But here is what you do not understand. We would rather die fighting than live as slaves. Every man, woman, and child on this planet would rather burn than bow. That is insane," Draxus said. "That is human," Webb replied. "You wanted to conquer Earth? Then come down and try. But I promise you, Emperor, even if you win, even if you kill every last one of us, we will hurt you so badly that every other species in the galaxy will know one thing. The Crithian Empire can be beaten. And they will come for you, because we will make you weak." Draxus stared at the screen in silence. He saw the absolute conviction in Webb's eyes. Ambassador Zilara had been right. These creatures were different. They were dangerous not because of their technology, but because of their nature. They were survivors who refused to accept defeat. War Master Corvin stepped beside the Emperor. "My lord, I have analyzed the battle data. The humans are using tactics from their own history. Every strategy, every weapon, every trick is something they learned fighting each other. They have had thousands of years to perfect warfare. We have only known conquest. They know how to hurt a superior enemy because they have been doing it to each other since they could hold weapons." "What are you saying?" Draxus asked quietly. "I am saying Ambassador Zilara was right. We should not have come here. And if we continue, we will lose far more than ships. We will lose the Empire's reputation. Other species will see that we can be beaten. Rebellions will start on conquered worlds. The entire structure of our power will crumble." Emperor Draxus looked at the image of Earth on his screen. That beautiful blue planet had seemed so easy, so vulnerable. Now it looked like a trap he had walked into willingly. He thought of the 47 worlds his empire controlled. Would they all rebel if they saw the mighty Crithian fleet defeated by primitives? Could the Empire survive that? "Open a channel to Ambassador Zilara," he said finally. "Tell her we are ready to negotiate withdrawal." Corvin bowed and moved to carry out the order. But before he could, something happened that changed everything. A new contact appeared on the tactical display. Then another. Then dozens more. Ships were emerging from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. "Identify those vessels," Draxus demanded. The sensor officer worked frantically. Sir, they are. They are ships from the Observer Coalition, and the Merchants Guild, and the Neutral Confederacy. Multiple species, my Emperor. At least 500 ships. Ambassador Zelara's face appeared on the communication screen without being called. She looked tired but satisfied. Emperor Draxus, I warned you. The Observer Coalition has been monitoring this battle. So has half the galaxy. They all watched as you tried to conquer a peaceful world. They watched as that world fought back with courage and determination. And now they are here to ensure you leave. This is not your concern, Draxus said, but his voice lacked conviction. You made it everyone's concern when you attacked a developing species, Zelara replied. Earth is now under Coalition protection. If you continue your assault, you will face not just humans, but every species in this sector. The choice is yours, Emperor. Withdraw now with what remains of your fleet, or stay and face total annihilation. Draxus looked at War Master Corvin. His old friend nodded slowly. There was no choice left. The battle was over, and they had lost. Signal the fleet, Draxus said, his voice heavy with defeat. We are withdrawing. Set course for Quithian space. Maximum speed. The massive warships began turning away from Earth. As they prepared to jump to faster-than-light travel, one final transmission came from the planet below. It was General Webb's voice. Emperor Draxus, go home. Tell every species you meet what happened here. Tell them that humans do not bow. Tell them that Earth is defended, not by superior weapons, but by superior will. And tell them that if anyone else comes here looking for conquest, they will learn the same lesson you did. We are not an easy prey. We are survivors. And we will not go quietly into the dark. The Crithian fleet jumped away, leaving Earth's orbit for the first time in 3 days. Behind them, the planet was battered but unbroken. Cities burned, but people still stood. Millions had died, but billions remained. Humanity had faced extinction and refused to accept it. In the command bunker, General Webb and Dr. Tanaka stood together, watching the alien ships disappear from the tracking screens. Around them, personnel cheered and cried and hugged each other. They had survived the impossible. We got lucky, Tanaka said quietly. If the coalition had not arrived, we would have kept fighting, Webb interrupted, until the last weapon was gone, until the last soldier fell. That is what humans do. 6 months later, Ambassador Zelara returned to Earth as she had promised. But instead of negotiating peace terms for a conquered world, she came to establish formal diplomatic relations. The Observer Coalition had voted to grant humanity provisional membership, an honor usually reserved for species that had achieved interstellar travel. She met with the United Nations in a rebuilt chamber. The scars of battle were still visible on the city outside, but reconstruction was underway. Humans rebuilt quickly when they had purpose. Your species impressed the galaxy, Zelara told the assembled leaders. Not because you won, but because you refused to lose. 500 species watched your battle. Most expected you to surrender within hours. Instead, you fought for 3 days against overwhelming odds. You damaged a fleet that had never been damaged. You made the Crithian Empire retreat for the first time in their history. Secretary General Martinez stood to respond. We did what we had to do, what any species would do when facing extinction. Zelara shook her head. No, most species accept defeat when the mathematics demand it. Humans reject mathematics. You fight with heart, with courage, with stubbornness. These qualities make you dangerous, but they also make you remarkable. The galaxy is a safer place because you exist. What about the Crithian Empire? Martinez asked. Will they return? No, Zelara said with certainty. Emperor Draxus has been removed from power. The Empire is in chaos. 17 conquered worlds have declared independence, inspired by your resistance. The entire galactic order is changing because you refuse to surrender. Humans have done more in 3 days of combat than most species accomplish in centuries of diplomacy. Later, Zalara stood with General Webb on the observation deck of the new orbital station humanity was building. They looked down at Earth together, at the blue planet that had defied an empire. "I tried to warn them," Zalara said softly. "I told them what humans were capable of. But they would not listen." Webb smiled grimly. "They learned. That is what matters. Every bully learns eventually. We have been teaching that lesson to ourselves for 10,000 years. We are very good at it. What will humans do now?" Zalara asked. "You have the galaxy's attention. Many species fear you. Many admire you. What will you do with that?" Webb thought for a long moment. "We will continue surviving. We will reach the stars, not through conquest, but through exploration. We will make friends when we can and enemies when we must. We will defend those who cannot defend themselves. And if anyone ever threatens Earth again, we will remind them why empires fall." Zalara nodded. "I believe you. The galaxy has learned a valuable lesson. Do not belittle humans. Do not assume weakness because of primitive technology. Do not think survival instincts have been civilized away. Humans are what every species was before they forgot how to fight. You are survivors. And survivors are the most dangerous creatures in the universe." On the bridge of his flagship, fleeing through deep space toward home, Emperor Draxus sat alone on his throne. The metal no longer shifted to comfort him. He stared at nothing, thinking about the blue planet that had broken his empire. War Master Corvin had been right. Ambassador Zalara had been right. But he had not listened. His mistake had cost the Empire everything. The conquered worlds were rebelling. Allied species were distancing themselves. The military was demoralized. All because he had underestimated a species of primitives who refused to acknowledge that they should lose.